Hello and welcome. It's the chat. I am Manny. My guest on the program is somebody who, for many years, has been interviewing people, personalities. But now is his turn. Is he going to question it?
Nigerian publisher and journalist Muyiwa Adetiba was born in 1954 into a humble family from Ibadan, Oyo State. He attended St. John's Primary School, Ilesha, and proceeded to the Igbobi College, Yaba, for his secondary education. Although he was only 12 at the time, he had become addicted to reading so much that he read 2 books per week, inclusive of novels. With this background, he was able to write a play at the end of his school certificate year and in the early weeks of his A-levels, which was titled When Love Dies. The play was subsequently adapted into a school play and renamed A Crime of Passion. During this period, Muyiwa was also involved in the production of a school's magazine, The Eye Opener. Not long after, he started his journalism career writing features for the Punch magazine and later became a columnist for another publication of the group, the Happy Home magazine. He remained addicted to working and at age 23 became an assistant editor and star writer for the Punch newspapers. Leveraging on this position, a young and energetic Muyiwa toured around the world for meetings and interviews with world-class personalities. At the early age of 28, Muyiwa had gotten to the peak of his career, holding the position of editor at the Sunday Punch, and 2 years later became a pioneer editor for the Vanguard newspaper. Subsequently, in 1986, having garnered a plethora of experience in the media, he established his publication, Prime People. The well-accomplished writer and author has been honored with several awards for his outstanding journalism prowess. He is still actively involved in writing columns on different topics.
Welcome, Muyiwa Adetiba. How many people do you reckon you have interviewed
That
in your career? Yes.
Maybe 50 a year.
Really?
That's like
Let's even take it from the beginning, your early beginning. Did you attend a secondary education here in Lagos or outside?
I went to Gobi College.
Okay, well, fair enough.
And I know we played. I played cricket for my school, and I played quite a bit with Gregs. So it was almost immediately after secondary school, after my A levels, that journalism found me, as it were. I didn't think I would make a career out of it. I didn't think I love to write. I've always loved to write. But if you went to a school like Gobi College or Greg's or Queen's College, you didn't think journalism was where you were going to end up arts, So I did sciences, for example. I did maths for A-levels and stuff. So I was looking for a job. The 9 months between A-levels and uni, and found myself in a newsroom. And the rest, they say, is history.
So you got the job in the Punch newspaper?
No. I got a job first with the Express, the Daily Express. Somebody, the editor of them, Mr. Aderioku, took a look at some of the things I'd written and said, "You don't need an interview."
Let us go through your days in the Punch before you moved over to the Vanguard, right? Yes. What were the high points of your career in?
I think the high points will have to be my interviewing days. Again, I was lucky to have met a man like Amuka. We just took a look and said, I think I did one interview, and he liked it, and said, "We'll give you a column to do interviews." I think one of the, I interviewed Adebo, Simeon Adebo, and He liked it.
That's the civil service
That was
man.
the Adibo man,
Yeah.
yes, and that was how I got the column.
Okay.
When I first said I had an appointment with Adibo, the editor then, Jibadi Thomas, said it's a more senior journalist should go and do it. And Amuka said, no, he got the appointment. Let him do it. We'll see how it turns out to be. So I did it. It was center spread for Punch, which was something then, and then I had a column. The same thing, I traveled once and I came back and Sam Amuka said, you made the Punch for the week that you traveled, because I was filing stories. And that was, I said, anywhere in the world you want to go, Punch will allow you. That was why I started traveling again. So a lot of my early career probably depending on the direction that Sam Amuka
So who was the most important of all these personalities you interviewed in your Punch days?
Importance for me, not so much in the personality of the person, because but what I was able to get out of the person. I recall Dora Ifudu, for example.
Dora Ifudu.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I had known her before, we had a very nice, intimate chat, and I thought it was one of my best interviews. But in terms of the big names, again, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Fatai Williams,
Yeah.
shortly after the 12 results, I was lucky to interview him, and he said he didn't want anything on 12 results. And I said there was no way we could do an interview a month after 12 results and there would not be anything on it. And he agreed. And I thought it was one of my best interviews. The ones that I was walked out a couple of times at interviews. When I was Julius Nyerere, the president of
Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Yeah.
At the point he walked me out.
He walked you out. Tell me about that.
I asked a question I knew was going to upset him. I talked about African leaders staying too long in power. And that it was, by the time I got into journalism, he was already the president of Tanzania. And I'm still there, and he's still there. And when will he leave? And just kept quiet. And I thought he was thinking of the answer. And next thing, interview was over. So that, but the first time I was walked out of an interview was Tony Benson, incidentally. I was still young then, so I didn't know how to handle it. And he just said, I can't allow this person to be asking me this kind of questions and all that and all that. I'm not granting an interview anymore.
Tell me, why did you leave the Punch?
Why did I leave the Punch? More out of loyalty. More out of loyalty to Sam Amuka. I felt he needed me. I was already an editor, so there was nothing. I didn't even discuss salary.
At the time you were working, maybe perhaps at the height of your career then, a lot of journalists were being repressed. There was, in that time, if you recall, Decree Number 4. Where were you at that time? And how did you feel when the two journalists, Nduka Irabo and
Thompson.
Oh yes, Tunde Thompson,
my friends,
were arrested?
I was in Vanguard then. There was a period, for example, there was a week that SSS picked me up, the police picked me up, and I think then another police in Akure. There was one in Lagos. I was put under house arrest in Lagos. SSS picked me up in 1 week, around that period. So it just meant we needed to be careful. I remember in my younger days, I spent some time with Dakonde. And he said, Nigerian press will always be free because the people want a free press. And I think that to some extent, that influenced the thinking of some of us. For as long as the people want a free press, we were there to make sure that we did our best to give them the free press. And that was, for me, that was it.
Now, after the Vanguard, you started developing a magazine of soft cell. And is it on record that Prime People was the first of the many, soft cell magazines that became circulated in the country at that time?
Yes, we were the first, yes.
Yeah. And you were the publisher.
Yes.
What's brought about Soft Cell magazine for you? I mean, you were interviewing personalities, and suddenly you moved in that direction.
Um, because I felt human interest stories would always sell. People didn't agree with me. People felt that you needed to do news. I'd always felt human interest stories would sell. And so I took a leap of faith. Prime People was more of Enquirer. I don't know that you know Enquirer in the US.
Yeah.
And Enquirer and Tidbits in the Enquirer in the US, Tidbits in UK. And I tried to marry the two, and then use some local things like traditional beliefs and things, to try and from the core.
But that's what they call junk journalism at the time.
It came later.
How did you react to that?
It came later, and I think it was a mistake. Part of my mistakes was that I didn't defend it because I thought it was the wrong appellation. Maybe if I explained a bit more. Now we find that a lot of a lot of work in the media deals with human interest stories. It's actually, the way we conceived it was actually more difficult to do what we were doing than to do straight news. Let me give you an example. There's an accident on the Third Milan Bridge, and straight news will say 20 people died on Third Milan Bridge accident. A good human interest story will say, who were the 20 people that died? There will be someone trying to get married there. There will be somebody who just got married. There was, who are they? That's human interest stories. It's a lot more difficult to get that than to just say 30 people died and that's news. So to the extent that that became junk, I felt I should have enlightened people a bit more when that thing, because I thought it was envy. We came out, we outstripped everybody. At the point, Prime People was doing 120,000 copies per week.
And you sold out. Prime People was selling. It was a big selling magazine. I'm sure it was at the end of when you've made enough money. You decided to, retire.
No. We had boardroom problems. That was the major reason. By the time we had boardroom problems, we were selling in England, we were selling in America. My plan was actually at that point to start selling in English-speaking African countries. I sent people to Kenya, Ghana, to try and get their stories, so we could start selling there. But then we had some directors who felt the progress was too fast, so that was it.
And some of your boys who started the Prime People with you are now publishing in the. How does that make you feel?
Very proud.
Yeah.
Very proud. Not just publishing.
But they do a lot of gossip, and I think that's what the people are saying. Yes, it's human angle stories, but you're probing a lot into my private space. Is that what it was initially?
It didn't start out like that.
Yes.
We had a social segment. It was society. And don't forget that I like to think that we developed the arts in a way. Before Prime People, Tony Ade, we beg you to review their records. Now we made stars out of Nollywood people and all that. Part of what evolved. And again, I tell people, don't go to the kitchen if you can't stand the heat. Don't invite the press to the wedding of your child if you don't want them to report the breakup of that wedding. Keep them out. Because if you invite them to the wedding and we are boasting about how many thousands, how many millions we spent on the wedding, and 6 months down the line, the wedding breaks up, the press has a right to report it. So if you can't stand the heat, don't go into the kitchen. Don't take a girlfriend to night shift, which was the celebrity place then. If you didn't want, because journalists will be at night shift, find your place to take your girlfriend to. But if you took your girlfriend to night shift and it was reported, don't blame the
Where
person.
were you taking yours to?
I played Fifth Amendment. There's nothing.
Well, there is.
Are you sure? I can't
Yes.
find anything.
Don't worry. Yes, you have. Will you read out the question, please?
If you had a second chance at life, what would you do differently? I would have wanted to be more involved in the literary world. I wish Nollywood had started 20 years ago. I would have been part of it.
An actor?
No, as a scriptwriter.
Ah, okay.
I would
You
have
couldn't be an actor.
No, because let me tell you how I started traveling. I'd written, like I said, I wrote a play when I was in school. Then shortly after that, I wrote another play. I met this author, the Toast for Supper. What's his name now? It was in white. It was white register. Oh God.
Chukwemeka Ike.
Chukwemeka, yes. So I met him to help me get a publisher. I met Rashid Balamosi and all that, and sometime along the line, Rashid saw me and said, you are lost to journalism. You left the creative world, as it were. So I felt worried. So I went to meet Amuka and I said, I wanted 2 weeks leave. And I wanted to write. I wanted to complete the book. He said, why not? Why don't you travel? Go to Kenya. If it's good enough, we'll serialize it for you, but spend time in Kenya. I was so happy. A few days to Kenya, he called and said, don't stay in Kenya alone. Do a travelogue. That became work. So I came back, and he liked what I came back. I couldn't do the book anymore anyway because it was now a travelogue. That was when I met Yerere. I tried to get Idi Amin and all that, So I couldn't do the book anymore. And if there's anything I wish I had done, it's probably that. I've done biographies for people. I've helped people write their biographies and stuff. I still do that once in a while. But I wish I'd be more involved in the creative sector.
What do you think about the freedom of information law now for journalists and generally everybody?
It's that I think it's about you, personally.
Would it have helped your work better if it had been a law a long time ago?
It probably would have. I'm not sure it's helping them much now. Anyway, I'm not sure people are complying, but I think access to information is critical. I think anybody that wants an open society, look at what is happening in the US, for example. I think it's critical to have access to facts and data and information about what's going on in the country.
What about the social media? I mean, this was not very prevalent in your time.
That is another kettle of fish. And I think I'm scared.
Really?
Yes. Because of my background, when I read things that are unverifiable, and I caution people, I said, you can't help to post this kind of thing. You can't verify, you are destroying people's character, and you can't even verify some of those things. And I'm scared because people are being destroyed for nothing. And just get.
And these are people who are in the same profession as you yourself, journalists.
I'm not sure the journalists. I'm not sure any trained journalists will abandon certain basic ethics and just say, man is a billionaire now because he works for government. Where is that coming from? And things like that bother me. I'm bothered about social media.
What else bothers you about life?
Very little. I've had a good run. Like I try to be at peace with myself. Um, Maybe a little when I write for Vanguard now. I'm don't know if you know. I write a weekly column for Vanguard. When it was going to happen, I was playing squash and I got injured. And I was sitting here when the publisher of Vanguard heard that I was injured and he came visiting. And he said, "How long will this cast be on your leg?" I said, "About 2 months." He said, "What will you do with those 2 months?" And I said, "Read, watch TV, read again." I said, no, pick a column. I'm saying that because I'm a lot into myself. I'm very little bothersome. So as long as I have a good book to read, these days I watch TV, which is not too good, but I still love to read.
Do people know that you're the younger brother of Obondi, Adele Adetiba?
Yes.
How do you relate? I mean, do you see each other very often?
We're probably closer than most people realize.
Yeah?
Yes. We're probably closer than most people realize.
Well, he's a very private person as well.
He is a private person, yes. Don't forget that he doesn't like to me saying this, but I went to Gobi College because of him in the first instance. He went to Gobi College as well. And I was going to go to government college in Ibadan.
But you did not go to Calabar because of him.
What happens in Calabar?
Well, I mean, that's where he picked his wife.
My wife is Edo from Edo.
Okay.
So it's not South.
So your family made up your mind not to, pick your wives from where you come from.
I don't think that was a meeting.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
3.
Yes.
Okay. And the game is over?
The youngest is 29. So the game has been over quite a long time ago.
Wow. So where's the wife?
My wife is she's a chartered accountant by profession.
Oh, does she live in this premises?
She lives here.
Oh, okay.
Just 2 of us live here.
Ah, okay.
Just 2 of us. But she's gone. She's traveled. She went to Warri for a funeral.
So for you, life has been really nice, hasn't it?
I think I have been lucky. I've done the job I would have wanted to do. When, for example, if I hadn't done any publication, if I hadn't done Prime People, Vintage People, TNT, an evening paper that I did quite a few publications and stuff, I might have felt something was missing. I did them. Some succeeded, some didn't, but I did them. The only thing, like I said, is I wish I would have been more involved in the creative side, novels, books, and stuff.
You have to be on an island for 10 days. What are the things you'll take along with
How
you?
about food?
Everything that makes your survival possible.
Okay, so I'll need food.
Yeah?
That I'll need a phone.
Yeah?
It's not my priority, but I'll need a phone. As for indulgence, I will need water. As for indulgences, I will need a book.
What book would you pick of all the books you've read?
I probably would want a book I haven't read. I like biographies of great people. I like to pick one to keep me company, and then maybe music. Yes.
Oh, excellent. What kind of music? Music of your time or music of nowadays?
Music of my time.
Why not nowadays?
Maybe the conservative part of me.
Oh, okay.
I've always loved what they call crossover jazz.
Right.
And,
So you're a jazz man.
yes.
And you love of football too.
Well, love of sports, yes.
Oh, sports.
Yes.
But I know that you're an Arsenal fan. Thank God you are. Because let me even borrow the thoughts of Betty. I did it my own way. So you may have also done it your own way.
Well, In a way, yes. I mean, Frank Sinatra. Yes.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Muyiwa, for being on the program.
Thank you.
It's been fun. I enjoyed myself. What about you?
Yes, still worried, but fun, yes.
Never worry. It's been The Chat. I am Manny. My guest has been Muyiwa Adetiba. See you next time. The Chat is produced by Channels Television. You can watch it again online. Just visit our social media platforms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.